you work as though it relies 100% on you.
Love it.
And you pray as though it relies 100% on God.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we'll show you how to
Yes, 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 and yes. Now, Thrive Nation, today's show is it's gonna offend none of our listeners, but all of the friends of our listeners, the people you know. Be careful about who's listening to this show with you right now, because they're gonna get upset. And I thought I needed to have a person with more credibility to tell you the message that I'm about to tell you. And so I'm going to play some sound clips here. And when I play the sound clips, I want you to understand that I don't get jollies by irritating you. I'm trying to help you. So I want everybody to do a Google search. Well, actually, do a YouTube search for "It's Not for Sale." Do a YouTube search for the phrase "It's Not for Sale," Bishop T.D. Jakes. Everybody do a search right now on YouTube for "It's Not for Sale," Bishop T.D. Jakes. And I want you to go to the 28-minute mark with me. The 28-minute mark with me. I'm going there right now. Okay. And I'm going to hit play. And when I hit play, I want you to understand I am not trying to make you mad, but you're going to get mad. So let me hit play and just listen to this audio.
Around money, and it has infected and affected the church till most of the time when you get people coming up for prayer, it's always about money. Our mentality is we need a miracle. I'm believing God for a car. I'm believing God for a house. I'm believing God for a coat. I'm believing God for a house. I'm believing God to send my kids to private school. I hate to tell you this. There are atheists that send their kids to private school. There are drug dealers that have a car. That's not a miracle. You don't need God. You need a good job. You need to come to work. You need to save your money. You can get you a car. You don't need to call on heaven and provoke the angels to get a car. That magical mentality is killing the church. We are asking God for stuff that we can do ourselves. Oh, God, help me.
Okay, now before you say, Clay, I want to argue with you. Before you say that, you're saying, I thought you were a Christian. I thought this was a Christian show. Hit play. Listen, with more fabulous fun from T.D. Jakes coming down the pike. This is from the 44-minute mark from his sermon, "It's Not for Sale." Here we go.
The word of God is going forth. We got people today who are so busy Facebook Live and they're not listening. I see people in an altar call coming to Jesus, Facebook Live. How can your soul be crushed by the word, tears running down your face, life changed forever, and you a producer? There is a time and a place for everything under heaven. You cannot allow these machines to become idols in your life. Cut your phone off, open your heart, allow the Spirit of God. I feel the power of the Holy Ghost.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Let's look at it from a completely non-religious perspective. He just said you don't need God to do the work for you, essentially. And put your smartphone down to make your life profound. So I need everybody out there to just ask yourself right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is you are a holy roller, and what you do is you do nothing unless you feel some spiritual epiphany first, that's a 10. And a 1 is somebody who you don't believe in the existence of God and you're just going to act in your own strength. I want you to rate yourself on your holy rollerness on a scale of 1 to 10. If 10 is like holy roller, woo, shunda. You've got to have God be somehow involved in everything before you do it. Or a 1 is you're just atheist, you're agnostic. I want you to rate yourself. Because I have found that the most successful people that I've ever met who are Christians and not Christians, they all do what they can do in their own strength, and they believe that serendipity, luck, God, divine interruption, divine interaction, they're going to let that just take care of itself and not think about it. But I found that people who are not successful, they focus on serendipity, luck, virality, randomness. So now that I have irritated some people out there, Steve, I want to get your take on this because you have become very successful as the founder of SteveCurrington.com. You've been in the mortgage industry for how long?
15 years.
How old were you when you first made $100,000? What year? How old were you the first time that you made $100,000?
I think I was 22, 23.
And what were you doing at that time?
Collecting debt.
This is profound. Somebody should write this down. You were doing what?
I was a debt collector.
Somebody should write this down. How old were you?
22, 23.
And what were you doing? And what were you doing?
I was a debt collector.
Somebody out there is praying to make $100,000. Now, at that time, when you were making $100,000, did you drink a lot?
Yeah. I don't know if I drank as much as I did later in life when I was 22, but it was when I started making more money that I started drinking more.
Did your wife tell the listeners about the time where your wife? Because the first time you and I met for dinner, you told me this crazy story, and I'm like, this could not be true. Can you share that story?
Yeah, about after.
Yeah, share the story because now you've been sober for a long time.
Yeah,
and you're on the other end of that story. How long have you been sober now?
Well, I quit drinking again 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. June of this year will be 4 years.
Yeah, I got it.
But 04, I think I made my last year as a debt collector. I made about 150 collecting debt, but I hated it. I mean, I worked from basically 8 in the morning till 9 at night.
But you did
6 days a week. But I did it. I hated it.
You hated it, but you did it.
Yep.
So I'm just saying at that time, didn't your wife eventually have to check you into somewhere?
Yeah, I kind of, I don't know, this little clear stuff that you can crush up into a powder I used to play around with a little bit. And maybe, I kind of do things the extreme, Clay. I mean, some guys buy a Mustang, I buy a Lambo, Some people.
So you were doing drugs?
Well, I mean, some people drink a coffee. Some people do some meth. I mean, it's just whatever your thing is. It's just.
But you were on drugs.
Yeah.
And you were an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And did your wife? How did you get sober? What did she do?
She called the cops on me, and
your wife turned you into the cops.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she left me in David L. Moss. It was really nice.
Which is a local prison.
Well, it's like
beautiful,
the
beautiful hotel,
county jail. But it was 4 days.
But your wife called the cops on you.
Yep.
And got you sober. But you were making even though you weren't a Christian or weren't living that way or you weren't whatever, you still found a way to make $100,000.
Right. I was believing God for it.
I welcome everybody out there right now into the $100,000 club. Come on in. Come join the club. Hop in.
Even if you're a heathen, you can do it.
Hop in the club. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. What we do, this is what we do. I've interviewed so many super successful people, so many of them. So many super successful people.
Right.
And what's interesting is, Jason, we've interviewed billionaires and millionaires on the show. Mm-hmm. We just had the billionaire founder of Paychex on the show.
Yep.
We've interviewed the founder of Ritz-Carlton, John Maxwell, Seth Godin. The world. Do they? Have you noticed that they all wake up before everybody else?
Yes, they do.
So first off,
back in the day, I just stayed up. That was a move too.
I'm just saying. So
beat them all. Don't go to bed.
Step number 1: if you want to get rich, you have to observe this thing called the 6th day principle. The 6th day principle. The 6th day. Dr. Breck, please explain to somebody out there who is a Bernie Sanders fan.
Yes.
They went to a college, and at that college, they were taught that once you have a degree,
right?
Once you get out of chiropractic school, you just show up and you work about 38 hours a week,
right?
And you'd have a lot of life balance, and you'll make $100,000 a year. Please explain to the listeners out there how that's a farce.
Yeah,
how it really works.
Yeah, so I mean, you may be believing that, but that is not at all the case. We actually spoke recently the other day about how we're protecting our time and things. And, one of the things I wanted to convey is that it's very important to protect my personal time, but I didn't really explain that, what I am doing is still putting in over 60 hours a week, even now, after being in this career for 16 plus years. And so, you still have to hustle. You still have to grind. And the 6-day principle is that you will work 6 days a week and rest on the Sabbath. You will take 1 day out of 7 and rest, recover, rejuvenate, worship the Lord, thank him for all that he's given you, and prepare for the next 6 days that you're going to work your butt off. And you've got to get up early. You've got to, make hay while the sun shines. And I get up early. I go to bed late. I don't get a lot of sleep, but I get enough. And I keep on grinding. And I think that you've got to embrace the grind. You've got to love the grind. That's part of the process. It's part of the joy. If I don't have to work for it, then it really wasn't worth it.
If everybody will open up your Bibles to Genesis and you will read there, you will see where God created the earth in 6 days and rested on the 7th. He was trying to teach the idea that you work 6 days and rest on the 7th. But he's teaching, people want to talk about resting on the 7th. They don't want to talk about working 6.
Right.
They're like, oh, it's super important you observe the Sabbath. It's really important. You're a workaholic. No, you are actually working in an anti-biblical concept. You see, in Exodus 16:5 it reads, on the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days. He's teaching in Exodus and Genesis the idea of the 6-day work week. Jason, you've had to help a lot of your clients kind of get into a flow of working hard.
Yeah.
And when you try to explain to an adult man or woman who's an entrepreneur, self-employed, that they need to work 6 days or more days or need to put in more work or get up before 7 a.m., how does that go over sometimes?
Typically not well until you can make them realize, because one of the best quotes I've learned from you is people learn 2 ways, through pain or through gain. But most of the people, they look at it as, oh, if I work 3 days, 4 days, because I'm the business owner, I dictate that schedule, baby. I am working when I want to work.
Oh, yes.
And then they have a poverty mindset, and they're not taking advantage of all the other days. I will just say, okay, well, look, you're here and you want to grow. You would have to work 20-hour days if you're wanting to work 4 days a week in order to get to your goal, or you can extend that out a couple hours for a couple of extra days. I mean, and I'll show on my calendar, be like, I work for Thrive Monday through Thursday, but I'm doing something 7 days a week.
So let's talk about this for a second. Let's say that you are building a wall, a stone wall, and you need to have 1,000 stones put in place in order for the wall to be complete. If you put up 1 stone a day, it'll take 1,000 days.
Yep. Right.
If you do 100 stones a day, it takes you 10 days.
Right.
Another example, in the agricultural society, if you till the soil and you sow the seeds and you water the seeds and pull the weeds, eventually you'll have a harvest. But if you don't actually sow the seeds, you won't have a harvest.
Right.
So as you get closer to super successful people, the more you're around super successful people, you're going to start to see they have like an insane work ethic. You're going to see how hard they work. When you're around enormously successful people, you're going to start to see how hard they work. You know, Ryan Tedder, the Grammy Award-winning artist, who I went to college with at Oral Roberts University and who sang at our wedding, he says when you're around enormously successful people, you realize their success isn't an accident. It's about work. Steve, when you pull up to a parking lot driving your Lamborghini, have you ever heard somebody say directly to you or indirectly about you, it must be nice?
Yeah.
Have you?
Every day. Like every day.
You filmed a guy.
People say it like a compliment.
You filmed a guy, and I don't want to give any more details about the video, but you filmed a guy in the Lambros who was offended that you were driving a Lamborghini. And you filmed him, and I don't want to get into all the details, but I can say you filmed him, and he was pissed that you have a Lamborghini, and he could not get off of the fact that you are so selfish that you were driving a Lamborghini.
He said the mere fact that you own a Lamborghini makes you an a-hole.
That's what he said. That's what he said to you on camera. He said the mere fact. Now, let me tell this to you. A lot of people hate people who are rich, and all they want to do is bitch. I had a lady the other day who's not a client, who wanted to be a client, and she made this statement to me that blew my mind. She wants to be a client, but she's not. And she says, I'm really excited for you to help me. However, I just want you to know I'm not willing to do some of the things you tell me to do because I'm more about ethics.
Oh.
That's how she said on the 13-point
Did
assessment.
she allude at what she thought was unethical?
I dove in,
Okay.
and I'm sitting here in this very chair on the call with her, and I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, I mean, I know to get rich, people have to make certain compromises. And I said, well, like what? And she said, well, I mean, just some of the stuff you have to do. It's like, what? She goes, just some of the unethical stuff. And I'm like, well, I need to know what that is. She says, well, I'm not willing to fire people who don't get their jobs done. I mean, I care about families. I'm not like you guys where, and she said, the other thing I push back on is I'm not going to ask people for reviews because I think it should be more organic. I don't want to pressure people, my customers, for reviews. Jason, have you ever heard this before? People say, I don't want to pressure people for reviews.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I didn't realize asking was pressuring people.
Breck, have you ever had somebody push back about or express that they, or maybe Steve, you have somebody who's insinuated that I am somehow a bad person because I fire people or encourage you to get reviews, or somehow I'm unethical because I know how to dominate Google, or some sort of...
Well, yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that I've run into people that, when your name comes up because you're featured on our little information board because of the show and stuff, and we want to, highlight what you're doing here and that you've helped me. But, yeah, you're a polarizing individual, and so I did have one patient who had previously worked for a client of yours, and they got fired. And I remember, bringing this back to you, didn't use their name, but you said, that client had to go through their workforce and clean house because there were a lot of people just not doing their job. And I don't find that to be unethical at all.
We interviewed Daniel Rabbi Lapin, who will be featured in my upcoming book, Mastermind Manuscripts. He's the top Hebrew scholar on the planet right now. Mm-hmm. And this is where he took it. Because remember, some people say that if you work 6 days a week, it's unethical.
Right.
He actually, this is what's crazy. This is next level, and everybody needs to do a search today for the show. I'll put a link to the show on the notes here, but everybody needs to do a search for Rabbi Daniel Lapin and Thrive Time Show, and you need to hear this show. He actually says that it is unethical, and it is an abomination to go on an extended vacation while wanting to become successful. He said that he actually believes it is a non-biblical idea to go on extended vacations while trying to become successful. He said because he feels as though you're mocking God to go out there and say that you're a Christian or a Jewish believer, and to go out there and say that you believe those things and then to work 5 days a week. He says it's unethical. Like, he actually says if you're a Christian or a Jewish person, you have to work 6 days a week. And it's unethical to pray for money and to be working 5 days a week. I mean, he takes it that far.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I wanted to cue up a man who is certainly not the leader of a faith. This is President Donald Trump being interviewed on Larry King talking about work ethic. Let me cue this up real quick.
From early in the morning to late in the evening. I don't want to go.
Here we go.
Dinner. And it was just one of those things. It wasn't work, but I always heard you have to work.
You're not working at this.
No, because look, I work very hard from early in the morning till late in the evening. I don't want to go home and have to work at a relationship. I mean, that's it. A relationship we have to work at it, in my opinion, doesn't work. So maybe I'm wrong.
Do you cook?
I cook sometimes.
He and his wife are being interviewed. I'm not saying I endorse his. Now, again, this guy's been divorced multiple times, okay? So but I want to get to the part about work ethic.
When we stay home and something very fast and... but we are out most of the time, so I don't really have, time to cook.
What is it like to have everything economically? By that I mean, you go down Fifth Avenue, you look in a window, like something, you can buy it. What's that like?
Well,
You don't have any financial pressure.
Yes, but you don't, I grew up, you always, taking care of the money. You're not like a, big spender, and you're saying like, okay, I will buy it even if I don't like it for 100%. You really need to love it that you buy it.
So they're talking about they have money now to buy whatever they want to buy because he works from the time he wakes up until the time he goes to bed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that everybody out there has to be a billionaire. But if you want to be a billionaire, the worst thing you could possibly do is listen to the lyrics of Bruno Mars's song, I Want to Be a Billionaire. Yeah. Because that's 100% how not to become a billionaire. Right. I mean, Bruno Mars is a hardworking guy, and it's just a lighthearted song.
Right.
But you don't just want to be a billionaire. And people out there say, this is what you made this comment yesterday on the show that we recorded.
Yeah.
You said diligence is not what? You said something awesome.
Oh, because we were talking about.
It was great.
What was the passage?
You said that your diligence. You don't need to be diligent about having a diligent mindset. You need to be diligent about the work.
Right, yeah, because most people, what was it? God blesses the hand of the diligent.
Proverbs 10:4.
Yeah, so people think that, if I diligently pray about this, that's where my reward comes from. But the reward comes from diligently doing the things you need to do in order to get paid.
And as a non-Christian, it's almost humorous to you to watch Christian people pray diligently and not do the work.
It pisses me off so bad. I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, I love the fact that you can believe in something to make you a better person. That's great. And
But you're not a Christian.
No, but you've given me a lot of scripture that I hear it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense if you apply it the way that I feel like you should apply it.
You see Christians who are diligently praying and then not actually working.
Right.
You've seen this. Yep. And as a non-Christian, I just want you to know the worst thing that we can do as a Christian is to profess Christianity and to go out and deny our faith with our lifestyle. That's like the worst thing we can do is to go,
thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm a Christian. Do it. Yes. Woo. Do it. Yes. And then not actually work hard.
Our hypocrisy just pushes people away.
And I would say all of us, myself included, we can all improve. But the worst thing I see is because we're in a capitalistic society is to see people praying. I mean, you see this at Rhema, at ORU. You see it at any mega church, any church anywhere. Mm-hmm. Great churches, great pastors, and there's people in the congregation who get the message twisted.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they're preaching from the Word, and Rhema does a great job, and ORU does a great job. You see people that go, oh, man, that last sermon, I know it was for me, and this is my year of abundance. 2020, my year of abundance. Let me cue up this audio. This is Trump explaining his work ethic on Larry King.
Together. I don't think he's control freak at all.
Does he bring work home?
Yes, sometimes. But he's working all the time. You know, Saturday, Sundays, he's playing golf. He's working all the time.
Does that bother you?
No, it's his passion. He loves it. It doesn't bother me. I don't want to change him. I don't want, to say, come home and, be with me. I don't want to change him. I want to give him a space, and I think that's very important in the relationship.
Because you used to tell me the one thing that troubled you about marriage was the feeling that you have to give up some of yourself, that you can't be the workaholic you are because of the demands of the nature of a relationship.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a workaholic. I mean, I work, but it's not work. It's like you. I mean, I love what I do, so it's no longer work. It's not like work. I mean, work to me is going on a 2-week vacation.
There it is. See, he just said work to me is going on a 2-week vacation. This is 100% how I feel. And I'm not saying you have to feel this way. I'm just saying don't envy me and my success and then be unwilling to do what I tell you. If you do that, we talked about the show yesterday, Jason, was a powerful show. Mm-hmm. We talked about this phenomenon, which I have coined being an ask hole.
Yeah.
Now, an ask hole is an interesting person, Steve, because the person who's an ask hole, what they do is they always ask for advice, yet they always do the opposite of that advice. They ask for advice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Steve, you see this with realtors all the time that reach out to you for advice because they see you doing a ton of loans and they go, could you coach me? And you're not a real estate coach.
Right.
And you'll say, sure, I'll do it for free. I will help you. All I would ask is that you would refer me loans and clients.
Right.
As a realtor, if you'll refer me, I'll coach you.
Yeah.
I've seen you do this. And what percentage of the time do the people ask you for help and then they go out and do exactly the opposite of the advice you give them?
100%.
It's so sad.
I have a good friend that runs a very successful business, and he says the best clients that he has pay really, really good money for the best advice, and they don't take any of it.
Wow. Now let me tell
which means why they keep hiring him
why
to
they
come
have
fix
to keep
their
coming
problems.
back.
Now let me cue this up real quick. I want you to hear this audio because when I play this audio, somebody's going to be rocked at their core. So I want you to just listen to this audio first.
So Jesus, who is exceptional, is having a conversation with ordinary. And exceptional and ordinary always have a conflict. Anytime exceptional people dwell in the midst of ordinary thinking people, there's always going to be conflict.
Jason, why don't I want to have more than 160 clients?
Well, because there's a certain amount of conflict that you're willing to put yourself through. So past 160, there's more time that's taken away from you to where it makes managing the original 160 relationships a lot harder.
And I would say this, too. I legitimately like, and you know this, I like working with guys like Steve Currington and Dr. Breck.
Yeah.
But what people do I not like working with?
The polar opposites, the people who call in and have a fringe business idea that they are then going to give up to God and do nothing with, hoping it's successful.
And this is what happens. We had somebody the other day who drove by the land we just bought, and they heard from another thriver that we're building a Disneyland for entrepreneurs, which is no secret. That's what I'm doing. And so it's basically 39 acres. It's got beautiful trees on it, and we're going to build a Disneyland for entrepreneurs. I mean, it's going to be a place where you'll come to a workshop. And we're going to, at the end of the workshops, we're going to do like bonfires and stuff. Yeah. We might have a paintball tournament with thrivers.
Are you going to do like that big giant fence like Michael Jackson did, where it says Neverland or whatever? Like,
no, but seriously, I mean, our thrivers want to have some fun. Yeah. So what we're thinking about doing the conference on Friday and Saturday, but Friday when the conference ends at 3 p.m., having like a paintball tournament for a chance to win $1,000. I mean, cool stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're going to build a Disneyland for entrepreneurs. And they said, hey, could you help me with my business? And their business, I won't mention what their company is or what it does, but we did a 13-point assessment, and they're unwilling to put in the work. Right. And so I just pointed out, I don't think it's going to be a good deal. And they said, what do you mean? Is my money not good? And I said, you're a good person, but they go, because they attacked me twice on the assessment. Because they said, what time did you wake up today? And I said, I always wake up at 3. And they said, why? I said, well, I go to bed at 9, so I sleep in 6 hours. And they said, well, yeah, but what about your family? Don't you care about your family? They said that while they're on an assessment and I go, I do, but I don't spend a lot of time with my wife at 11 o'clock watching TV or 10 o'clock watching TV, and I come home, my phone's off at 4 o'clock every afternoon, and I spend that time undivided with my wife and my kids. So, but they just couldn't get off the idea that I was not spending enough time with my family. Right. I mean, Breck, you had kind of a hot take there about work ethic.
Well, yeah. So one of the things that T.D. Jakes kind of brought to mind was a quote that I heard a long time ago, and that was, pray as though it all depends on God, and then work as though it all depends on you. And I don't know who to credit that with, but if you are working like it all depends on you, but at the same time, and I'm a Christian, at the same time you're praying as though it all depends on God, then the two come together and it explodes. You've got a synergy there where God is blessing the doing.
Yes.
But you have to be doing. You can't just be sitting. So I actually heard some guys talking about the idea that we put on our Christian armor and we're all geared up and we go nowhere with it. So we put our pants on and we don't have anywhere to go. And it's like, no, you put your pants on, you put your armor on, you put your cape on, and you leave the house to go be active. You got to go do. And so, that's one of those things. And like you were just talking about, the time that you spend watching TV, the time that your face is in your phone, that is not quality time. And so many people are spending time just vegging out in front of the TV or on the phone. And yeah, they may be in the same room, but they're not spending time together.
So I'm going to cue up this audio of T.D. Jakes, then I'm going to play the Trump audio. But I want everyone to listen to the words that T.D. Jakes is saying here.
So Jesus, who is exceptional, is having a conversation with ordinary. And exceptional and ordinary always have a conflict.
Didn't say sometimes.
Always.
Always. So the reason why I don't want to work with more than 160 clients is that I am exceptional at what I do. I am the exception. And we live in a culture where 96% of businesses fail, and our average client grows by more than 35%. Thus, by just definition, I am exceptional. Jason is exceptional. Now, we're not bragging. It's just a scoreboard thing. Dr. Breck is an exceptional chiropractor. Most chiropractors, Breck, I'm sure you've seen this, they start and then they go out of business.
Yeah.
Steve, most mortgage bankers don't actually ever close loans, right?
Correct.
Most real estate agents don't close loans. So we are exceptional, not bragging. I'm just saying based on the definition, we are exceptional. All right? Steve, you had a hot take.
What I was going to say is I think a lot when you limit your client base to 160, one of the biggest things that I've seen you avoid when it comes to clients is not that they're bad people, but people that are emotional about business.
Right.
They're very high They're very high emotion,
urgent.
They make decisions
emotional.
based on emotion, and they.
Can you go into the bathroom? And I have something written on the bathroom. Can you read some? I think I have some quotes written on the bathroom. You can use the megaphone to shout at us there. But I think I have some quotes written on the bathroom, they're next to the shower. I think I do. Maybe I don't. Let's see if he finds it. Do you see it, Steve? Are there any quotes written there in the bathroom? Maybe not. Are there any quotes there?
Avoid people who are perpetually distracted.
Avoid people who are what? Say it again.
Perpetually distracted.
Read it one more time. I think somebody can.
Avoid people who are perpetually distracted.
Okay, thank you, Steve. So I don't want to be around people that are perpetually distracted, chronically late, always emotional, because they'll wreck your life.
Right.
I mean, if you're a consultant, they will literally wreck your life. Jason, have you ever had a client that's like that, just urgent, emotional, they can never focus? I mean, how brutal of an experience could that be?
It's brutal because it affects the meeting. It will bleed over into other meetings. You'll be with another client, and your phone will be going off because this person has lost their mind. And then it'll even bleed over into your personal life because at 2 o'clock in the morning on the weekend when you're supposed to be, at home asleep with your wonderful wife, this person's having an existential crisis, and you're the only person that can fix it.
And then that person knows other people like that.
Yep.
Because your network is your net worth. So I only take on exceptional clients because Steve's gotten to become friends with Charles Kolaw. And you've got a chance to spend time with Clint Howard and meet him.
Yeah.
And when you meet these people, I mean, have you noticed that you guys are all pretty much similar?
Yeah, it's really refreshing because it's very few rooms that you walk into where you feel right at home.
Right.
Yeah, Dr. Breck and I found that we both like to snuggle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Let me play the rest
In
of
the
this audio.
backseat of the Lambo.
Let me play the rest of this audio here. Here we go.
Anytime exceptional people dwell in the midst of ordinary thinking people, there's always going to be conflict. Don't try to get along with people who think ordinary when you know God made you to think exceptional.
Don't even try to reason with them. If you're out there saying, I don't want to work 6 days a week in order to have success, get off our podcast. I don't want to try to grow my subscriber base. What? Yes, I don't want to grow my subscriber base with an audience filled with people that are idiots. If you're not going to implement, stop listening. This is not an entertainment thing. This is about a life-changing thing.
Don't even try to reason with them. Don't try to argue with them. Don't try to straighten them out. We speak 2 different languages. You are speaking ordinary, and I am talking exceptional. Exceptional people make some noise.
There it is. Now we go back to Donald Trump on Larry King. This is him talking about his work ethic.
I mean, I love what I do, so
I'm
it's no
not a
longer
workaholic.
work. It's not like work.
But
I mean,
it's
work
still
to me is
time.
going on a 2-week vacation. If somebody said
That's
you have to
work.
go away for 2 weeks, you're going to Africa on a safari, there's not
Good
going to
luck.
be any phones, you know what? Get me out of here, right? So that's to me, like, that would be work. But what Melania is so good at, we just have this natural relationship. It's like my mom.
So all I would say is that there's an entrepreneur out there, and I hate to see it. I hate to see it. This is my final little tip. I hate to see this, Steve. Steve, you've seen this. People that don't work together like my wife and I do. Can you please explain the working relationship of my wife and I? How you've seen it? Because you've seen it for the last 5 years. How do we work together? How do we not work together?
She does the money and the bills, and she I see you go to her for every big decision or any decision or emotional. Like, for example, we talked about Emma, my 17-year-old.
Hiring your daughter.
Yeah, her coming to Shadow and to work at Thrive. And so Clay's very good about saying, I have no emotions anymore. I don't care. But you guys might go talk to Vanessa. So,
100%.
Yeah, so you guys respect each other, run things by each other. She handles what she's responsible for, and she knows that you're going to handle the work and the that side of the business.
But here's what I see a lot of couples doing in their business. This is what I see. So I'm writing this book, The Mastermind Manuscripts, this new book. It's going to be a bestseller. You guys are going to love it. I mean, it's 5 years of interviews with the world's most successful people all in one book. I mean, it is awesome, okay? So it's like $1 million gift to the world. That's going to be yours. You're going to love it. I have not gone to my wife and said, hey, babe, what do you think about the title? Hey, what do you think about the cover?
Right.
Who should be in it? What do you think? Because she's not an expert in that area.
Right.
She is an expert in being a great mom, finances, cheerleading, but I'm not going to go to her and say, hey, how do you think I should lay out the pages? Nor is she going to show up and give me unwanted feedback about the pages.
Right.
Now, this is what I see a lot of couples do. There'll be a woman who has a very successful company, and her husband wants to come to the meetings with her, and he'll say, with no knowledge of anything, because he's not exceptional, he doesn't know about the business, with no knowledge of anything, he'll say, I don't like that logo. Can we make it green? And by the way, I don't think we should have 1,000 words on every page. It's all cluttered. With no knowledge of how search engines work, with no knowledge of how cold calling works, with no knowledge of branding, with no knowledge of calendars and to-do lists and time management and workflows and scripts and checklists, with no knowledge of accounting, he wants to show up and give ordinary advice to somebody who is exceptional. Breck, have you ever seen this phenomenon?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can be absolutely major conflict.
The same thing happens in my office. So, we'll have a couple that comes in and, one or the other is the patient, but then the spouse is now giving their unsolicited advice in regards to their health condition that I just uncovered and diagnosed and know how to correct, but yet they're not going to because their spouse says something different.
Jason, have you ever seen this happen?
Yep.
How does it normally manifest itself? It's where tell us about, because I think there's somebody out there this is helping.
Yeah. So, I've had plenty of clients that they'll come to the meeting and be like, oh, hey, is it cool if I bring my spouse because I'm wanting to get them they are wanting to be more incorporated with the business. So I feel like it'd be good for them to, kind of shadow our meetings. I'm like, sure. So I'll be going through and I'll have a client who we've been working together for weeks and they're on the right track. But then the second somebody else who doesn't get it, who does not have that exceptional mindset, they're like, wait, we have to get how many pages of content this week? We have to get how many reviews? Oh, no. We were fine before. And then they become that little, do you ever see Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Grima Wormtongue, the guy who poisons the king because he's always whispering his little evils. They become that person. And then all that great work we've done just completely goes off the rails and they start to backslide and it hurts their company.
Steve, have you seen this phenomenon or are we the only people who've seen this?
Yeah. I don't even talk to my wife about business because I learned a long time ago that she never agrees with me. So I just don't. I'd come home mad because some employee sucked and I told him they sucked and she'd disagree with me. So I'm just like, no, we don't even, we've been married 18 years. That's the secret to marriage is I just don't. And if she does work in our company, but we don't interact at all.
I think everybody out there feels like they need to be the next Chip and Joanna, or they maybe think that my wife and I are Chip and Joanna. And on the show, which is heavily scripted, by the way, Chip basically does the building and Joanna does the designing, and they sort of talk about it in a fun way, and they come up with a design that they both agree on.
Yep. Right.
But when the camera's not running, Chip be screaming at her.
No.
They're
They're a very happy couple.
And then they turn the camera on, and he's like,
No,
I love you, honey. That's a great design.
I think they also have their eye on the prize. The bigger deal is, if he doesn't like it or whatever, he's like, it doesn't even matter. This is her design. I'll make it happen. I'm a builder.
They work together, though. Yeah. But the statistical probability of marrying somebody who is as good as you are in your industry, that would be like Tom Brady marrying a receiver who happens to be an attractive female.
Right.
I mean, it's just not going to that would be
here's the thing. Isn't it something like, I don't know, 50 to 60 or even 70% of all marriages in a divorce?
Yes.
That's without a business being involved. So you got a hard enough time just trying to keep your marriage together without entering some bullcrap from your business. So don't even, it's a phenomenon when someone does marry someone and they work well in business together. But even Donald Trump, you heard Melania, she doesn't worry about him coming home. She just supports him and what he does, and that's it. And if you're trying to find a wife who can help you in business, no. If you're the man and you're supposed to be the provider, go provide for the family and keep your marriage happy by keeping that separate, my opinion.
Or if you're a female and you are an entrepreneur already and you marry someone who's not, don't try to change them.
Right.
I want to make sure, because I see this, Jason, as probably the number one source of conflict when working with clients. It's when their spouse or their best friend becomes their business partner, and the one person is exceptional and it has a great work ethic, and the other person, the other partner, the friend, doesn't. I mean, do you not see this?
Yep.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah, and then trying to change them forces that relationship to get caustic real fast.
Oh,
yeah, the couple that can work together well, that's the unicorn.
That's the unicorn. I would just tell you, again, someone says, well, Clay, I thought you and your wife worked together. we have 2 lanes. So right now, the other day, last night, my wife tells me, she says, hey, on the land, we're going to start putting in that road during this given week. And I said, okay, cool. And she says, and I think we're going to build a bridge. And I said, we're building a bridge? What does that cost? And she said, oh, we're going to build the bridge. We're going to build the bridge. But she handles the finances. She knows our budget. And I'm going, I like that idea. And you know why I like that idea? Because that's her lane.
Right.
And she knows our budget, and she sticks within it. Now, on the house that we're constructing, if you have vaulted ceilings on a house, these big houses, Steve, you know how if you have like a 7,000 or 8,000 square foot house, you can make the roof line more dramatic.
Yeah, the pitch.
And do you have a lot of attic space in your house, Steve, upstairs? Do you have any attic space?
Yeah, we have some attic space. Yeah,
Breck, do you have some attic space?
Yeah,
up there?
we have a lot. Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to finish it out, could you? I mean, if you went up there, could you make a few more? Can you make 1,000 extra square feet
we
up there?
We purposely didn't finish it out because we punished the kids by putting them in there.
But I mean, you could.
Yeah, I mean, our house has a finished out 3rd floor, but there's still some additional attic space we could expand in.
And there is, it's about $20 a square foot right now, ish, to finish out attic. So if for me, I mean, I would just add in wood tile. I would put up sheetrock and paint it black, and then I do spray foam, paint it black up there, put in my incandescent bulbs, and bam, there it is. So I'm talking to my wife, and I'm going, how much attic space is up there? And I think there might be like 4,000 square feet. So this room might get 4 times bigger because that's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not giving her any feedback on the entryway, on the dining room. If it was up to me, it wouldn't even have a dining room. I mean, I think the dining room for most people.
Who dines?
Do you eat?
Do most?
Do you stop to eat?
Do you have you noticed that the dining room is the one room that no one goes to?
Yep.
Yeah,
most houses.
When we bought our house, that was an issue. It's like, are you sure you want a dining room? I'm like, yes, we're actually that family who will actually use it. Because my wife likes to host and she likes to cook, and we do. But we're the exception.
Quick plug for Shaw Homes. They actually started building a lot of really awesome floor plans that don't include a dining room because it is kind of that room for a lot of people that they don't go into.
And then the home office thing. Have you noticed the home office is the one room where most people don't do work?
Yep.
It becomes the catch-all for kids' toys and
the clutter room that you can close the doors.
Yeah, it's the room where you put stuff. It's where you put the Christmas gifts before you wrap them.
Yep.
They're in that room.
Yep.
So it's the clutter room. So again, I'm not going to sit there and debate with my wife about house designs, and she's not going to debate with me about book layouts. So my advice to you as it relates to the marriage thing is find a lane, stay in that lane, and if you are an entrepreneur, don't marry somebody who's not and try to convince them to change to be like you. Right, Steve?
Yeah, can you talk, like backing up a little bit about the working 6 days, can you talk a little bit, I mean, I know you've told the story about how Henry Ford changed or helped change the 40-hour work week where previously people that worked at Ford were working, 90, 100 hours a week, working 6 days a week.
Okay, I cannot speak to the Ford thing, but I can share this real quick. In 1938, I'll put a link to this. There's a thing called the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. That's 1938, and that was created by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And just so we're clear, FDR was a socialist. I don't think people realize that he was a socialist. That's what he was a fan of. He was in favor of socialism. So socialism is the belief that it is the job of the government to take care of people from the cradle to the grave, like free college, free phones, and we distribute wealth as needed to make up for some people who are dominating and some people who are losing.
Right.
So it's the equivalent of putting ankle weights on LeBron James. That's what it's like. It's like, LeBron, you're really killing everybody out there. And so we're going to let you play the game.
We're just taking some of his points and giving them to other players who have fewer points.
Or it would be like taking who's your favorite comedian, Jason?
Ooh, Rogan's up there, but right now it's Chris D'Elia.
So it'd say, Chris D'Elia, you're a very good comedian. You're truly better than your peers. So we're going to have you read the at 40% of your routine, you have to read a routine that's not good. So for 40% of your act tonight, you need to read a non-funny routine just to make it fair. Or it's like, Dr. Breck, because you're making a lot of money, we're going to just raise those taxes up a little bit. And I say a little bit. We're going to take half your income and give that to the lazy guy who refuses to work. And we all know that person in our lives who doesn't work. And by the way, when you give somebody money who doesn't work, do they get more motivated to go work some more?
No.
So it's a fundamentally flawed idea. But he said, gosh, guys, I know that the Bible explains 6 days as the work week normal. And I know this country, this great American, this great country, I know that the country was founded on the 6-day work week. I know the Pilgrims were working 6 days a week. I know the founding fathers were working 6 days a week. I know that the work ethic of this country is what's made America great. But as a socialist, I feel we should change that all now and establish this thing called the 40-hour work week, where we now are going to make that the normal, and we're going to kind of look with strong judgment upon any employer who would ask somebody to work more than 40 hours a week, and anybody who works more than 40 hours a week, we're going to start to kind of look at them as though they're wrong. We're going to start to kind of, Jason, when you talk to people about your work ethic or that they ask you about it, or maybe they just see it, do people question it and kind of wonder if you're weird?
Yeah, all the time.
I call it social punishment.
Are you weird?
You're going to be punished by society.
For working more than what is...
Yeah, for going out there and making a way.
It's work-life balance now has become this great thing where everyone is infinitely seeking work-life balance while also trying to get rich while working 40 hours a week, and it's just endless discussions.
I feel like I've got that.
I think
but I'm not working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts at 60 and goes up from there. So, but I still feel like we have a great balance. There's time I protect and I spend with my family, and there's time that's protected and it's spent with work.
Are you off on Wednesdays?
No.
Why are chiropractors off on Wednesdays?
I don't know. People still hurt on Wednesdays.
I know, that's like a
they
thing.
They still
though.
need adjustment
there's
on
a bunch of chiropractors. They close on Wednesdays. Are they just weak?
That's why we're killing them.
Okay, good.
I don't know.
Good job.
I can't speak to what they're doing. I don't know.
Jack Welch, who says a very politically incorrect thing. I was asked by a group of people about women in the workplace and their incomes. And Mr. Welch, Jack Welch, the CEO, who grew GE by 4,000% during his tenure, who promoted a lot of females to top leadership positions. He was asked, how come females aren't making as much money as men? This is what he was asked. And the article, I'll put a link to it, was in the Wall Street Journal. And the article is called Jack Welch, No Such Thing as Work-Life Balance. This is Jack Welch. And again, this is the former CEO of GE who grew the company by 4,000%. He says, there's no such thing as work-life balance. We'd love to have more women moving up faster, but they've got to make the tough choices and know the consequences of each one. So what happens is in the workplace right now is women are going to work and they're keeping up with their male counterparts. And a lot of times they're beating them. They're better than them or they're as good. But then they're like, but I want to have a baby. And so then they say, I need to take off for maternity leave. And there's not a whole lot of men. I mean, when was the last time, Jason, that you met a man who had a baby out of their body?
Was Arnold Schwarzenegger in Junior?
Was a terrible movie.
No, never.
Steve, have you ever seen a man give birth to a baby?
No, but I have heard of men taking maternity leave.
So if you're if you're a man though, and you were to say, hey, I'm not, remember, if there's two workers, they start at the exact same age, they have the same degree, they're both 25, they start at the same company at the same time, one's a female, one's a male, and the guy works for 10 consecutive years and never takes a day off. He shows up every day, 5 days a week, never skips a day. And there's a female who says, hey, boss, I have to have a baby. I need to take off for a year or 6 months or 2 months. Who's going to get ahead faster in their career? The guy who takes off for maternity leave or the guy who shows up? I mean, who is that going to be?
It's going to be the guy that shows up.
It's just a trade-off thing.
Right.
So if you're out there today, again, I hope that I want to make sure everybody gets this idea. If you're out there listening today, Dr. Breck, you said it best about praying and work. Can you kind of explain that quote again or paraphrase it?
So it's just a matter of, you work as though it relies 100% on you.
Love it.
And you pray as though it relies 100% on God.
Say it one more time.
The two come together.
Say it one more time. This
so
is good.
Work like it's all on you and pray like it's all on God.
That is awesome. Without any further ado, we like to end each and every show with a boom, and boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And here we go. Without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom! 1980 was the year of my conception. From the dorm room founded DJ Connection. Entrepreneur of the year in 07. On my path to the top, I learned a lot of lessons. Kicked out of college writing a parody rap. Dissed ORU like a Trump and Rosie recap. I've been known for getting stuff done, not giving a crap. And for jocking up wins while my competition naps. Now it is the Thrive Time Show on your radio. Catch the broadcast or the podcast download. If you got a business, we'll help it grow. God's got a plan you just didn't yet know about. Workflows, systems, scripts, and hiring. Motivating yourself when you need inspiring. These faces made for radio and not TV. Talking everything from Clay to Z. Auto washes, banks, haircuts, and glasses. You want to sell it, we've already sold it to the masses. No classes or prerequisites. Just business school as raw as it gets.
It's a Thrive Time Show on the radio. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. It's all about you. 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 Yeah. So we bring the boom.
Yes, sir. It's Z and Clay, broadcasted from the box in the 918. Business school in the topic today. Check the syllabus, it's getting you paid. I'm making the business boom, it's what we do. You can do it, let us show you. I'm a father of five with maniacal focus to teach the proven moves, no hocus pocus. Cause get rich quick is not a move, but the proven system will make your life improve. See, I'm more than just a rhymer, like a horse with blinders. Focused on the Thrive Time Show, is where you find us. He be the Z and I be the C. Teaching business skills from Clay to Z. We both grew up poor, but we're poor no more. The goal of this show is to help you score. I couldn't see the light until my son could see, but I learned to rock the mic in the high school scene. A young DJ with a $1 billion dream, numb to the pain that rejection brings. So I, like a sod farmer, sweated for that green. Now I'm on your radio with a thank you and please share this podcast with a friend and enemy. Now let's talk some business from Clay to Z.
It's a Thrive Time Show on the radio. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. It's all about you. 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 Yeah. So we bring the boom.